Welcome to the Deep Dive. Just want to mention, this Deep Dive is brought to you by Access Softtech. They're the premier provider of digital banking solutions.
Great to be diving in.
So today we're getting into something we've been digging into quite a bit lately in our own work. It's about navigating requests for proposals, RFPs,
Right.
and specifically this challenge of actually finding real innovation through that whole process. It seems like it should work, but
Absolutely. And RFPs are, they're essential. They're how you vet your options properly,
yeah.
especially for something as critical as, say, a digital banking platform. Making the right choice there.
Mhm.
That really sets the foundation for everything else.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah.
Because what we sort of stumbled upon it felt backwards almost.
Mm-hmm.
You'd naturally think, okay, a really long, detailed RFP,
Yeah.
hundreds, maybe thousands of questions.
Yeah.
That means you're being super thorough,
Yeah.
right? Covering all bases.
That's the common wisdom, yeah.
But what we found suggests that way of thinking actually creates a pretty significant problem.
It really can. The thing is, when you lean so heavily on those pre-written questions, you can unintentionally block yourself from seeing truly innovative stuff.
How so?
Well, you might completely miss some amazing new product feature just because, well, it wasn't on your checklist. It wasn't a question you thought to ask.
Right. So you're basically like building your own blind spot.
Exactly.
If you don't know a certain capability even exists, maybe it's brand new, maybe only one vendor has it, you're just not going to put it in the questionnaire.
Precisely. And those things you don't know about, the stuff
Mhm.
you and maybe your consultants haven't even imagined needing yet,
Yeah.
that could be the exact thing that gives you an edge or, keeps you competitive down the line.
Okay, so like maybe some AI feature that predicts what users want, or a totally new security approach.
Yeah, things like that, stuff you didn't know was possible. If you don't ask about it in the RFP, you might never find out or find out way too late.
So the big question then is, how do you get past being limited only by the questions you already know? This kind of pushed us towards a different idea.
And the insight is surprisingly simple, actually. You just tweak the process slightly.
Okay.
Instead of just sending out your massive RFP and waiting, you add a step. You invite the vendors, your potential partners, to suggest other questions.
Other questions.
Yeah, questions they think you should be asking them based on what they offer.
Oh, okay, I see. That's quite clever. So they get a chance to point out things you might have missed, things you didn't know existed.
That's the idea. You get their suggestions, you look them over, figure out which ones actually point to real innovation or useful capabilities you hadn't considered.
And
And then you build those relevant, insightful questions into a revised RFP. And that revised version goes out to everyone.
so it creates like a discovery loop right inside the formal process.
Exactly. A feedback loop for innovation discovery.
Okay, but hang on. If you ask vendors for questions, aren't you just going to get buried in, self-serving sales pitches? Everyone just pushing their own thing,
That's a fair point, and that's why the next step is crucial.
which is,
It's about integrating the good suggestions back into the formal RFP. It's not just a side conversation. This makes them explain not just what the feature is, but connect it back to your needs, even needs you didn't articulate initially within that structured format.
so you can compare apples to apples, even on the new stuff.
Precisely. It's more than just watching a sales demo. You're evaluating the quality and the relevance of their suggested questions and then their formal answers, all within your framework.
Got it. So it's really about preventing your current knowledge from limiting what you discover about future possibilities.
Yes.
It flips things from just ticking boxes on known requirements to actively looking for unknown potential, but in a structured way.
That's it. Real innovation, the stuff that really moves the needle, often shows up where you least expect it. If you want to stay ahead, you need to be open to solutions that maybe don't fit neatly on today's checklist. This approach helps bring those hidden gems to the surface. Could impact anything: user experience, efficiency, security.
Things you hadn't even planned for.
Exactly.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear, isn't it? Don't let the questions you think you need to ask put limits on discovering features or ideas you don't even know exist yet.
Yeah, staying cutting edge means being ready for solutions that push the envelope, things that might not fit those predetermined boxes.
So final thought for you listening. Maybe think about where else in your own work, your own processes, you might be accidentally shutting the door on discovery.
Just because you're focused on the questions derived from what you already know.
Or maybe you're not asking enough different people who might see things you don't. What innovations could be waiting just outside your current field of vision, simply because the right question hasn't been asked yet? Something to think about.